The medium is not the message. In 1964, a popular philosopher by the name of Marshall McLuhan wrote a book entitled The Medium is the Message. The book explained that the medium, or the form in which a message is delivered, is even more important than the message itself. Unfortunately, this theory is often applied to evangelism and to how we Christians reach others with the message of the gospel. In other words, the focus is being placed upon evangelists, us, rather than on the content of the message being preached. This is the motivation behind the seeker-driven mindset which is so popular among Christian churches today. The thinking goes that if we want to reach the culture, we must emulate the culture in some way. The idea that more people will be attracted to the church if the preacher is cooler or funnier or more in sync with the times, leads to the assumption that it is his personal charm that draws people to Christ. It also leads to a watered-down gospel that is more culturally accepted than what is found in the scriptures. Plus, it implies that the gospel message alone is not sufficient, but that it needs a little help from us. In contrast to this, listen to the parable of Jesus found in Mark chapter 4, verses 26 through 29, in which Jesus explains how evangelism should work. The kingdom of God is like a man who casts seed upon the soil. And he goes to bed at night and gets up by day, and the seed sprouts and grows. How? He himself does not know. The soil produces crops by itself. First the blade, then the head, then the mature grain in the head. But when the crop permits, he immediately puts in the sickle, because the harvest has come. Jesus is saying that the farmer is ignorant of how the seed transforms itself into a mature plant. After sowing the seed, the farmer goes to bed at night. And what do you know? A plant is grown overnight, while the farmer is sleeping. Obviously, the seed represents the gospel, and the farmer represents those of us who present it. We scatter the seed, that is, explain the gospel to people. Some of those people believe and receive life, but some do not. One thing is clear, however: the success of the effort does not ultimately depend on us. The power of the gospel is in the message itself and in the working of the Spirit, not in the style or ability of the sower. Paul understood this principle. He explained his evangelism as follows: I planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the increase. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 6. God is the one who actually draws sinners to himself, changes their hearts, and causes them to be sanctified. Paul and Apollos were both faithful, but they were not the explanation for the supernatural life and growth. Jesus intentionally highlights the farmer's lack of influence over the growth of the seed. In fact, Jesus stresses that the farmer, after planting, simply went home and fell asleep. This is directly analogous to our evangelistic efforts. For a person to be saved, the Spirit of God has to draw him and regenerate his soul. This runs counter to the notion that the results of our evangelistic efforts are directly dependent on us. For one thing, that means that we should not blame ourselves if we do not see immediate results. On the other hand, we cannot take the credit either when we encounter success. All the farmer can do is sow, and all we can do is proclaim. Of course, the fact that the farmer went to sleep is not an excuse for laziness on our part. The farmer did sleep, but only after he diligently sowed his seed. Jesus' description of the farmer provides our model for witnessing. We must plant the gospel seed. Then we must trust God for the results, since only the Spirit can give life. Romans chapter 3, verse 5. Jesus answered, I tell you the truth. No one can enter the kingdom of God unless he is born of water and the Spirit. John chapter 3, verse 5. No, the medium is not the gospel message. Article by D. Thorfeldt for CDMI.0rg.